there was a school shooting a few days ago, and we didn't talk about it, at least I didn't talk about it too much to the community at first or on a BBC, because it felt to me like people just needed some time to absorb it and to, just say, yeah. And then now, so today I thought to talk about it. On the other hand, what is there to say that hasn't been said? I don't want to say the same words because everybody knows them. And I think people all feel that way. What I will say is, okay, for me personally, what came up, of course, was just incredible sadness at what happened to the kids and the teachers. And then also some compassion for the perpetrator who clearly this kid was, completely confused. Yeah. And then there was, as many people say, why haven't we done anything? The same word, Sandy Hook 10 years ago, and, and the thing in Buffalo just the week before. And why haven't we done anything? Why haven't more bills be passed to limit the guns? And it's because, the people in power don't want to. And there's enough of the people in the country that support them, or that at least vote for them. So, clearly we have to vote in people who favor the positions that we want. I'm assuming everybody here is shocked and horrified. Yeah. Now, there may be some people who say, but we have the Second Amendment a right to bear arms. So a few years ago, we invited the county sheriff and some officers to come and have lunch with us at the Abbey. And it was really nice. And I asked them, especially about the Second Amendment and how they felt as police officers, knowing that there was an armed citizenry, that they, you pull somebody over for a traffic stop and you don't know, are they armed? And that person doesn't know what's going to happen with the cop either. And he said something that really stuck in my mind, the sheriff. He said, just because you have a right, it doesn't mean you need to use it all the time. And it doesn't need you need to flagrantly display it all the time. Because I was telling him how, although Washington State is an open carry, I feel intimidated, just going to the grocery store, walking down the street with people carrying assault weapons, or guns of any kind of sort. I feel uncomfortable. And it seems to me that there should be, there might be Second Amendment, but there also is the right to live without fear. And I think those of us who want to live without fear, that should be a right as well. And seeing guns around everywhere doesn't make me feel very safe. So it was interesting to me that the sheriff really was sensitive to that. And that just because you have the Second Amendment doesn't mean you need to flagrantly display it. I've also been thinking about, the Second Amendment. If we look at it, it's for a well-regulated militia. So to me, when I look private gun ownership, that's an individual, it's not a militia. Okay, and that at the time the Bill of Rights, or the Second Amendment was in the Bill of Rights. At that time when that was made, it was to protect the colonies against British, the threat of the British coming back, or, the government becoming too powerful or something. Okay, so to me, that need that they had back then doesn't pertain now to society. And an individual owning a gun is not the same as a militia. And that word, well regulated, okay, that didn't mean any old gun, used for any old purpose by any old person. There were things should be regulated. So regulation to me means laws and regulations. So just as car ownership and driving is regulated, then guns should be regulated. I mean, we're building a building, and my goodness, there are so many regulations that we have to meet to build a building. Yeah. But a gun doesn't house people. Guns were created to kill. It's the only purpose they have. They're not for decoration. So if they're instruments to kill, then it seems to me they should be regulated, because everything is regulated, even things that are not instruments to kill. Yeah? So it just makes sense that they be regulated. As for the argument that people give that guns don't kill people, people kill people. Well, yes, that sounds very nice, but if you use that logic, then why is the military armed with guns? Why isn't the military armed with paper plates? Because if guns don't kill people, that paper plates also don't kill people. So why don't you give those to the military? You see what a little debating study does for you. But, it's an argument. Yeah. So I won't try and impute motivations on the people that don't want any kind of gun regulation. I don't understand their way of thinking. And as for the people in the legislature who refuse to take action on this, personally, I don't know how they go to bed at night and sleep peacefully. Yeah, I couldn't sleep peacefully knowing that my actions inhibited, common sense regulations to prevent unwise use of guns. And if I, voted counter to that, and then these atrocities occur, I have my fingers are involved with that. I have some responsibility. And so how they just can live with themselves is very difficult for me to understand. But they too are worthy of compassion. They're sentient beings. Everybody in the situation wants to be happy and not suffer. And what we see is just a very mass illustration of samsara. And this is what samsara is about. And this is why we want to get out of samsara. Yeah, that's kind of what it comes down to, So why do we want to practice the Dharma? We want to get out of samsara. Yeah, we want to help others get out of samsara. And so we cultivate compassion that is based on equanimity towards all beings, no matter where they stand on this issue. Okay. And then we speak out and we tell the people in power who are in power because we elect them, what we want and what we don't want. Yeah. And prayers and thoughts are great. Yeah, we're monastics. We send kind thoughts, we do prayers, but that is not sufficient. Yeah. And His Holiness Dalai Lama himself says that on many occasions when people are just saying, go pray and send thoughts and kindness. And he himself says that's not enough. We have to act. Yeah. So that's what as citizens we have to do and make our voice heard. Yeah. And I think also, as much as we can, offer comfort to the people whose kids have been murdered going to school. I don't know. When I went to school, we never thought about guns. Yeah, the gun laws were different then, and we didn't know anybody who had guns. And we certainly, when we went to school, we weren't afraid of getting killed in our classroom. Yeah. I mean, I remember as a kid, that thought never entered my mind that I might get killed, especially by a gun, while learning arithmetic, or whatever class we happen to be in. So I wish all kids had that kind of safety, because it's important as a child to grow up with a feeling of safety. If you don't, then it really affects the whole life, And I also watch the debate in the country about abortion and how people want babies to be born, yeah, but after birth, many of those people don't care whether the babies have enough to eat or if the babies are murdered in first or second grade at school or in fourth grade at school. There's the push for their birth, but not to take care of kids in this country after they're born by making sure they have the food, the proper education, safe environments to live in. Yeah. So I think as a country, we have a lot of work to do in this area. So this has not been a bright, cheerful BBC, but it is one that, situations that we're faced with that we have to see in a Dharma light. Okay? So some people say to me when I talk about current event issues, you're talking about politics, you're a nun, you shouldn't do that. Okay? Well, first of all, to me, these issues are not politics, they're ethical issues. So I'm not talking politics, I'm talking ethics. Also, Church Mutual Insurance Company, they really know the laws about what preachers, for lack of a better word, ministers, priests can say legally to a congregation and what they can't. Yeah. And so we tuned into a one webcast about this, and the man was saying, you cannot tell people who to vote for, because that endangers your 501c3, your nonprofit church exemption with the IRS. But he said, it's very good if religious organizations talk about topics and events because society needs an ethical and moral view of these things. Yeah. So again, I found that very interesting, if you tell people who to vote for, you're talking about politics. And when I see that happen in other circumstances, and I know that there's some ministers and pastors that do that, I don't think that's right. But here we're talking about ethical issues, to help people think about how to apply their religious or spiritual practice to their very lives and to what is happening around them and to their families and their kids. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing.